Members and guests, if you'll please take your seat, we'll begin the closing ceremonies. The first part of our closing ceremony will be remarks from the Lieutenant Governor. Then I will give brief remarks. Then we will hear the drum group will perform one more time, and the flag bearers will bring the flags out, and then the tribal leaders will recess behind the flag bearers as they leave the House chambers. But with that, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan.
Oh, thanks, y'all. Thank you. Miigwech. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello. Well, I'm so happy to be back in this space. I feel very much at home here, and just thank you, Madam Speaker, for just creating this space for this powerful moment for all of us. It's really wonderful to be here. And I was just here on Thursday when there was a unanimous vote in this body to support MIFPA, and I think. I think it is a really solid example of how tribal policies that affect tribal nations, affect our communities, can be bipartisan policies and solutions. So thank you so much, everybody, for your good work. It was just over 4 years ago today that I sat in the back of this chamber, watching as the first ever Sovereignty Day began. And I'm humbled today when I come back that this has just become the way we do business here and a reality. It was an incredible day in 2019, and it is an incredible day in 2023. I will never forget how after I announced that I was resigning my position to run as the first Native woman for Lieutenant Governor, one of my colleagues approached me to tell me that he wasn't aware that Native American people were still alive or lived in Minnesota. Surprise. So when I first took office, I knew that there were many policymakers who didn't know about tribes or our governments or about tribal sovereignty or treaties and tribal lands. But now I know that everybody knows that that work has happened and that folks in both the House and the Senate are taking these issues incredibly seriously. And so again, Speaker Hortman, we spoke of having one of these events so many times before. The first event in 2019, and another Tribal Sovereignty Day here has been completed. And thank you so much to everyone who's been on the planning committee to help organize today's event. And I heard that there was a lot of smack talk around who has the best rice. And I'll let you all sample from each 11 of our tribal nations to determine. I have a favorite, but I'll never tell. Thank you, of course, to the tribal leaders for being here again to share your knowledge and advocate on behalf of your people. It is powerful to have you in this place and in this space. Over the past 4 years, our relationships have strengthened and improved, and the partnership with each of you and your nations has helped to make our state stronger overall. For a very long time, the 11 tribal governments and tribal communities within Minnesota were left out of conversations that happened here in the legislature. In fact, there was a time in Minnesota history where conversations in the legislature were about how to eliminate and remove tribes. So I want to thank all of you who showed up to learn more about tribal governments and communities across the state and engaged in the dialogue and conversations about issues of importance to tribal communities, to the people who were in Minnesota before Minnesota was Minnesota. Before taking office, while the governor and I were on the campaign trail, we visited all 11 tribes in the state of Minnesota, and we committed to improving our government-to-government relationship between the executive branch and tribal nations. I'm proud of the work that has taken place with tribes over the last 4 years in partnership with our members in the legislature here in the House. And together, we responded to an unprecedented pandemic to provide resources and support and responses that save lives. Together, we codified our government-to-government relationship and requirements for consultation into state law. Together, we created a state task force looking at the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and now we have the first state office dedicated to our missing and murdered Indigenous relatives right here in Minnesota. And together, we have shown that tribal communities are still here and aren't going anywhere. Together, we have accomplished so much, and I am excited for what we can accomplish together in the next 4 years. And I wanted to just give a special word to our Native American caucus here in the legislature. The strength, the knowledge, the passion, the pressure of knowing that you don't just represent the district in which you live, that you represent all of us. Thank you for holding it and carrying it with tremendous grace, and for doing good work for all people in Minnesota. I am honored and humbled to be in relationship with all of you and being able to do this work together in a way that we have never experienced before in the state of Minnesota. So I want to just hand it over to my sister, I believe, Senator Kunesh, is that correct, or Speaker? Do you want to introduce her? Okay, great. So you're in for a treat, everybody. I'll give you a teaser here. Senator Kunesh, who has been a powerhouse in the Senate, and know that we're everywhere. And I am so grateful to everyone for your good work. I couldn't have imagined that this would have been possible when I first came into the legislature, that we would have this day, that we have policies, that we work together across the aisle on these incredibly important issues. And so the only way we can move is forward and move forward together. So Gichi Miigwech, thank you for the honor of being able to spend some time with you today. I'm so appreciative, and I think while sometimes there are interesting images that we see in this chamber, I will be polite. I will tell you the most powerful images and the most accurate images of American Indian people are in the tribal leaders who are sitting in this room and in this space, and in the elected officials that we have in the House and Senate. So if you want to know what a real Native American looks like, look around you. Thank you.
Senator Kunesh, would you like to make any closing remarks?
Well, Chimigwich and Wopilai Tonka, to everyone that is here, all of our legislators and all of those that came, I am sending you a very sincere thank you from our leader, Dietzik, who was not able to be here. And I just want to say that as I was listening to our leaders today, I can't help but say how proud I am that we have the leadership for our communities, our Native communities here in this time and day. A lot of the stories and a lot of the issues that you spoke of reminded me so much of my great aunt, Josephine Gates Kelly, who was the first chairwoman for the Standing Rock Nation. She fought hard against the Oahe Dam that dammed up the land that my ancestors lived on, flooded those lands, the homes, the burial spaces, the farmland, and are still underwater today. When you talk about, we had issues around small groups about ICWA and child removal. Those were things that my family experienced. When we talk about all of these things that have happened to your communities, you know, I can relate so very quickly and easily to them, which is one of the reasons that I came here to the legislature to do the work that I've done. And so over the last 6 years, I've seen our legislators' minds open more, ask questions, expand their understanding, their empathy, and their knowledge. And this is just one more day of how all of you that took the day to come here and listen and learn and build relationships, not just with each other from across the aisle, from across the different bodies, but with our tribal leaders and communities. And so I want to say, Wopila, thank you so much for doing this work. And on behalf of the Minnesota State Senate, I hope that this becomes an annual event. And I look forward to doing the work that needs to be done so that all Minnesotans have the happy, healthy life, and that the work that we do really is going to make a difference for the next 7 generations. So, Chimigwich and Wopila Tonka.
Well, I'd like to really thank Lieutenant Governor Flanagan for being here again today for this second Sovereignty Day. And I'd like to thank everybody who made this day a success. You know, it is not the responsibility of the tribal leaders to educate us. It is not the responsibility of Rebecca Crook-Stratton or Tad Johnson or any of the other panelists. It's our responsibility to become educated. And I just want to thank them for helping us to do that work. And would also like to thank the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council and the Tribal State Relations Training Organization, the State Agency Tribal Liaisons, and the Minnesota Senate for joining us today. I'd also like to thank the Chief Clerk and his team and the Sergeant at Arms for helping with today's technical, logistical details, and Kevin Labens from my office who really put this whole thing together. I'm looking forward to our continued work together this session with Minnesota Sovereign Tribal Nations. Part of the purpose of this day is not just that I, as the Speaker of the House, have relationships with our tribal governments, but that all of us as state representatives and state senators and representatives of the people have these relationships and repeated interactions, so we deepen these relationships so it's easy for us to call each other to solve problems together. Please rise for the drum circle closing and the flag and the honor guard.